From allies to enemies, the breakdown of Greek unity. Once united in the face of the Persian threat, the Greek city-states shared a sense of common identity and purpose. However, this unity was always fragile, held together by mutual interests rather than deep-seated alliances. As the Persian threat receded and internal rivalries took center stage, the tensions between the city-states escalated. Athens and Sparta, the two most powerful Greek city-states, became rivals, each seeking dominance over Greece. The breakdown of unity among the Greek city-states was a gradual but inevitable process, ultimately leading to the devastating Peloponnesian War. Part 1: The Persian Wars, a foundation of unity. The Persian Wars 499 to 449 BCE brought the Greek city-states together in an unprecedented alliance. Facing a common enemy in the mighty Persian Empire, Athens and Sparta, along with smaller city-states, formed the Hellenic League to repel the invasions of Darius I and later Xerxes I. The famous victories at Marathon, Thermopylae, Salamis, and Plataea demonstrated the power of Greek unity, with the collective effort of diverse city-states prevailing over the vastly superior forces of Persia. This victory instilled a sense of pride and identity among the Greeks, reinforcing the idea that they shared a unique culture and values distinct from the barbarians they had defeated. However, the alliance was temporary, held together only as long as the threat from Persia remained. Once the Persian invasions were thwarted, old rivalries began to resurface, and the seeds of division were sown. Part 2: The Rise of Athenian Power and the Delian League. After the Persian Wars, Athens emerged as a powerful and influential city-state, largely due to its formidable navy and the wealth it accumulated from war spoils. Under the leadership of Pericles, Athens capitalized on its newfound power to establish the Delian League, a coalition of Greek city-states originally intended as a defense alliance against future Persian attacks. The League's treasury was kept on the island of Delos, symbolizing the collective interests of its members. However, as time passed, Athens began to transform the Delian League into an empire, consolidating its control over the other members and using League resources to enhance its own power and beautify the city with monumental projects like the Parthenon. Athens' demands for tribute and loyalty from League members created resentment, as it became increasingly clear that the League's purpose had shifted from mutual protection to Athenian domination. Sparta, observing Athens' growing influence, became increasingly wary of its ambitions. The two cities had different values and systems. Athens was a democracy that celebrated intellectual and artistic pursuits, while Sparta was a militaristic oligarchy that prized discipline and austerity. The Delian League's transformation into an Athenian empire marked the beginning of open rivalry between Athens and Sparta, as both vied for control over Greece. Part 3: The First Peloponnesian War and the 30 Years' Peace. The First Peloponnesian War, 460 to 445 BCE, was the first major conflict between Athens and Sparta and their respective allies. Although it ended with a compromise known as the 30 Years' Peace, this treaty did little to resolve the underlying tensions. Both Athens and Sparta recognized each other's power, but continued to view each other with suspicion. During this period, Athens continued to expand its influence through its empire, while Sparta sought to protect its own sphere of influence. The 30 Years' Peace was an uneasy truce, holding back the inevitable conflict as both city-states used the time to strengthen their militaries and prepare for the next struggle. While the peace prevented immediate hostilities, it was clear that Athens and Sparta were on a collision course. The two city-states were locked in a struggle for hegemony, and their respective alliances, the Delian League and the Peloponnesian League, became formalized, polarizing the Greek world. Part 4: The Megarian Decree and the Spark of War. The fragile peace between Athens and Sparta was shattered in 432 BCE when Athens imposed the Megarian Decree, an economic sanction against Megara, a small but strategically located ally of Sparta. The decree barred Megara from trading in Athenian markets and ports, dealing a severe blow to its economy. Athens claimed the decree was justified by grievances with Megara, but many saw it as a calculated move to assert dominance over the Peloponnesian League. The Megarian Decree infuriated Sparta, which viewed it as an attack on its ally and a direct challenge to its influence. Along with other grievances, it led Sparta to issue an ultimatum to Athens, demanding the lifting of the decree and an end to its imperial ambitions. Athens, led by Pericles, refused to yield, arguing that such a concession would weaken its authority and embolden its enemies. The failure to resolve these issues diplomatically led to the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War in 431 BCE. Part 5: The Peloponnesian War, the fragmentation of Greece. The Peloponnesian War was a protracted and brutal conflict that pitted the two powerful leagues against each other, drawing nearly every Greek city-state into the fray. As the war dragged on, city-states were forced to choose sides, with some shifting alliances throughout the conflict based on self-interest and survival. The war divided Greece, breaking down the unity that had once allowed it to stand strong against Persia. The conflict introduced a new level of intensity and devastation to Greek warfare, with sieges, betrayals, and atrocities becoming common as each side sought an advantage. Cities were destroyed, populations were displaced, and the economic stability of the entire region suffered. Athens' insistence on maintaining its empire at any cost and Sparta's determination to break Athenian power led to a cycle of violence and reprisal that tore Greek society apart. As the war continued, smaller city-states like Corinth, Thebes, and Argos exploited the conflict to pursue their own interests, adding to the chaos. The alliances shifted, as even former allies turned against one another in pursuit of power. The Peloponnesian War became not only a fight between Athens and Sparta, but a struggle for survival and dominance that eroded any sense of Greek unity. Part 6: The Collapse of Athenian Empire and the Ascendancy of Sparta. The final phase of the war saw Athens' empire crumble under the weight of internal revolts, financial strain, and military defeats. The failed Sicilian expedition, 415 to 413 BCE, was a turning point, weakening Athens significantly and emboldening its enemies. Sparta, now funded by Persian gold, built a powerful navy under the command of Lysander. In 405 BCE, at the Battle of Aegospotami, the Spartan fleet achieved a decisive victory, effectively ending Athenian naval dominance. The following year, Athens surrendered, forced to dismantle its long walls, surrender its fleet, and dismantle its empire. Sparta emerged as the new hegemon of Greece, but it faced the same challenges that had plagued Athens. The cost of war had left Greece exhausted, and the once celebrated ideals of democracy, honor, and shared identity had been deeply eroded. The breakdown of unity led to a power vacuum that Sparta struggled to fill, as its harsh rule quickly alienated former allies and sparked new conflicts. Part 7: The Legacy of Division and the Macedonian Conquest. The Peloponnesian War and the breakdown of Greek unity left a fractured and weakened Greece. The city-states were exhausted, divided, and vulnerable to external threats. This fragmentation created an opportunity for Macedon, a kingdom to the north led by Philip II, to rise as a dominant power. Philip capitalized on the weakened Greek states, using both diplomacy and military strength to unite Greece under his rule, establishing the League of Corinth. Philip's son, Alexander the Great, would later build on this foundation, expanding Greek influence across Asia and creating a vast empire. Ironically, the disunity that had weakened Greece ultimately facilitated the spread of Greek culture throughout the known world under Macedonian leadership. The divisions that had once torn the Greek city-states apart would give way to a new form of unity, as Hellenistic culture spread from Egypt to India. Conclusion: the fragility of Greek unity and the lessons of the war. The breakdown of Greek unity was a story of ambition, rivalry, and the struggle for power. The Peloponnesian War demonstrated the inherent fragility of alliances based solely on shared interests rather than shared values. The Greek city-states, despite their common heritage, were unable to overcome their differences, and the pursuit of hegemony by both Athens and Sparta led to devastating consequences. The legacy of the Peloponnesian War left a profound impact on Greek thought, as philosophers like Thucydides and Plato reflected on the causes of conflict and the dangers of unchecked ambition. The war served as a lesson about the cost of internal division.